Hey guys, welcome to the Go Solo Show and welcome to season 2. So now for regular viewers and listeners, you may have noticed a little change in format, and that's because for season 2, we're focusing less on individual stories and more on shared experiences. So in each future episode, we're going to be bringing you a number of great guests around a similar industry talking about their collective experiences. So on this week's show, I'm really delighted to say that it's all about starting, running, and growing a business in the yoga and Pilates space. And we have 3 amazing people who've successfully built a business with thriving communities, regular customers, and amazing social media presence. A very warm welcome, a very warm Go Solo welcome to our guest today, which is Jocelyn, who does Pilates here in Toronto, Canada. Jocelyn, great to have you here.
Thank you.
We have Peter, who teaches yoga in Austin, Texas.
Thank you.
And we have Natashas, who I think I'm pronouncing this right, leads Barre, is that right? Which is a combination of yoga, Pilates, and ballet?
Yes, Barre is a combination of Pilates, dance, and calisthenics. There is a yoga element to some of it, but yeah.
I love this. It's almost like we've got the dream combination here if somebody wants to feel really good about life. So brilliant. And welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. So let's get on with the show. And in a nutshell, I'd like to know a little bit more about your kind of businesses. Like I said, we're going to keep this a really free-flowing chat here today. So Peter, maybe I could just ask you first, what is it that you do? What is it that sets your business apart from everybody else?
Thank you. Great question. Well, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you again. I co-founded a purpose-focused wellness company. It's almost like a movement, I call it. It's called Yoga from the Heart. And we inspire people through movement, through heart-centered practices, meditation, and yoga to follow their heart. We do a lot of work with individuals, corporations, and community. So I think what sets my business apart or my mission apart is that community aspect. We do a lot of donation-based and moving scale or sliding scale classes in the community. So that's been an incredible piece of my work. But yeah, that's what we do.
Amazing. Sounds good to me. And how about you, Jocelyn, in Toronto? What is it that you do and what sets you apart as well?
Thank you again, Jonny, for asking me to be part of the podcast. It's really exciting to share the panel with Peter and Natasha and get to know you as well. What I do is we teach movement, basically. So we use the basic foundations and principles of Pilates, but to break it down and to take it back, take it back a notch and start with foundations and teach movement from a biomechanics perspective, how the body should move. So it's not about being good at Pilates, it's about being good at everything else you do outside of what we teach. So it's really to, I guess, better your movement in the world, right? So that it's not just about what we're doing when we're in class. So it's a little bit beyond Pilates.
I know this sounds perfect for me. I keep thinking this, I do a number of meditations and I'm also a yogi myself, not an instructor. I'm a yin yoga lazy guy, likes lying on the floor a lot. But, I think, I do think in my meditations about trying to do more of a walking and my movement on a daily basis, but I need to get better at being able to focus on that as well. And you, Natasha, as well, you obviously gave a brief bit about yourself, but, tell me just a little bit more about the Barre method and obviously like what sets you apart as well.
Yes, thanks, Jonny, for having me, and welcome as well to Peter and Jocelyn. So I actually started off as a yoga, Barre, and Pilates teacher, and after teaching and training clients for many years, doing all 3 of those, I really noticed that there was quite a need for some clients to have a combination of all 3. And that's when I developed the Body Barre method, which is the combination of yoga, Barre, and Pilates. And what sets me apart, and I think what sets that apart, is there's a mindful element to it. So whenever you come to the workout, like we always set an intention at the beginning and at the end, and it's about moving with the rhythm of your body and your mind, so that you can really create a life that's on the mat and off the mat. And I also felt like a lot of the Barre classes were either very balletic or very slow or very fitness. And I felt like there was a need for something that combined all three, that had a fast-paced transition where people could really get the results physically and mentally.
Yeah. Brilliant. And to be quite honest, you know, it seems like almost like, again, I want to ask the question, what sets you apart? You all have almost like your own methods, your own philosophies, which I think is so important, as opposed to just like a turn up on Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we'll do a bit of stretching and that's it. You know, it seems like you offer the full package, quite a holistic approach to life, which I think is really exciting. Now, I'm going to go in with quite a big question to start off, and, you know, I'm not going to call anybody out, so please feel free to keep this a natural answer. I imagine all three of you didn't leave school at 18 and think, right, this is my career now. This is what I'm going to do with my entire life. I've been doing this for many years. What were you doing before this? And what was it that gave you the push to actually go and make this your full-time job? I'm very interested in terms of that motivation. What made you say, this is going to be my career from now on? You know, like, what pushed you into that? So please be my guest if who wants to go first to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Do you want to go ahead, Natasha?
Oh yeah, I'll go, just because it's quite fresh on my mind. Actually, I was just speaking to someone the other day about it. For me, it was I moved to London when I was 19 to become an actress, and I always loved performing, but I knew that it wasn't quite what my path or my destiny was. It didn't feel like it was the bigger calling, but it was just something that I absolutely loved doing. I loved speaking and talking to people and being on stage. However, my background has always been really quite heavily involved in sports growing up, and there was this niggle inside me for something else. And when I moved to London and I was between acting jobs, I probably worked about 10 or 15 jobs, as most actresses do. I had horrendous anxiety and panic attacks, and the thing that got me through that time was finding meditation and mindfulness and affirmations. And I thought, God, this is it. This is what I need to share with the world. And so I kind of went into yoga teacher training, NLP coaching, Pilates, bar, and because dance and performing were always kind of in my background as well as sports, it just seemed like it's all coming together now. This is actually what I'm meant to do and help other people overcome. And that's where it's kind of led me to now. And this being this quite honed method of exercise, mindfulness, mindset to help you in all areas of your life, really.
Amazing. And you say the word calling there. I like that, actually, because I think, you know, we're all searching for that, I think, in life. And Jocelyn, is it a similar experience for you, or have you got a totally different story to share?
Well, I guess there's a bit of a calling in there as well, right? Because I started when I straight out of college. The first plan that I had was to go into nursing. And I studied nursing for the first year and a half in college, and then I left that. It wasn't for me. And then I started, I think I've worked a little bit, and then I went back to school and I studied fashion. And then I worked in the apparel industry and fashion design for 15 years. And then I had already been doing Pilates for about 10 years. And it was 10 years into it that I remember I was in Costa Rica, and I was on the Pacific Ocean. There was a dock, and I had gone there to do my Pilates in the morning, and I was on the dock, and I was sort of having this sort of life existential crisis that you get as you near 40. And then I thought, why would I not do this for a living? Because it was just something I did every day, and it felt so natural, and it felt so good for me. And I never even thought about it. Like, it didn't feel like a chore, like I have to go do my workout or anything like that. I just did it because it made me feel good. And then I came back, signed up to get my teacher training, and did that. And then it just kept going in that direction. So I've been teaching now for 10 years, and it just grew. It evolved from there. But one thing that's really interesting is, no matter if it was nursing or apparel or Pilates, it's always been about the body. So whether I was looking at it from an organ aspect or the clothing aspect, or now a muscular biomechanical aspect, I've always been fascinated with the body. So even if those branches of that tree are very far apart, the tree is still the same.
Everything comes together. Everything comes together. It really does. And Peter, we've discussed this many times personally, but obviously for the camera and obviously everybody out there who wasn't a fly on the wall to when we've chatted, your motivations, where did you get started to do what you do?
Oh man, I love what Natasha and Jocelyn said, and it it's resonates with me because so I walked into my first yoga class, official yoga class at the age of 14. My mother brought me by my hand, and we were going through a very, I would say, some adversity at home. And I was hooked ever since. I found my love, my passion. And even though I went into corporate, I remember every client that I had, our conversations would always end in wellness, meditation, balance, finding that. And so I think that, as I started evolving in my career, in marketing and sales, I ran a lot of CSR. I worked with a lot of organizations like the UN. I ended up, shipping things from China here. I mean, I worked in logistics, film, anything that you can think of. But every client that I had, it was always like they knew that I loved yoga, and they always wanted to learn from me. How
Yeah.
are you so happy? How are you always this? And what is this? What give me the secret.
Yeah. You're like, well,
And so
$20, you could have it. It's just
at the time it was almost like, well, I just practice like yoga all the time.
yeah.
So I really think that it was through those practices that I was able to cope, and not only cope, but thrive. I was able to thrive through being um, an immigrant in this country, through having to hold three jobs to keep my food, and my
Yeah.
family supported. And so I feel like this is the way I kind of nudged myself in. But then I deepened my practice through a teacher training, never thinking I would teach. I
Yeah.
was just like, I want to deepen my practice. I then moved to Germany for a master's degree. And my partner at the time was like, you have to teach, go teach. And then I was kind of like thrown in the fire, and I went to teach, and my first class had like 60 people in it, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And I was like, what is this? So it was almost like, I'm a true believer of omens.
Mm.
And I felt like I was just ready to teach at that point.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so ever since then, I've been teaching. And ever since 2 years ago, I've been going solopreneuring into
Yeah.
this. And it was through the transformations really of people and the people I worked with that it really kind of pushed me into saying, I
Wow.
have to do this full time.
So
Yeah.
it seems like everybody basically, whatever you're doing now, there are all these mini steps that just got you there. It was like, so
Mhm.
you are probably in the right place as well, like for where you were supposed to end up. This is where, again, you've all talked personally about what was, what you love about it and why it's your career, I guess, like your personal satisfaction and motivation to do it. But what do you love about running your own business, and what's the extra deeper layer you get from teaching? I can understand this question might be slightly different because of the industry you're in, as opposed to me asking someone who sells like software or something for a living. But, I'm interested to know in terms of what you love about running your own business, and, like I said, kind of like what's the deeper satisfaction you get from it as well. Who fancies
I can
shooting the
answer
first
that.
one?
Yeah.
Peter, let's go straight through to you.
Yeah. So, like I had said, I'll just echo what I said before, is that, throughout everything I've sold in the past, whether I was marketing a logistics company or selling tape, which I sold 3M tape for a really long time, um, I was selling these products that, yes, I believed in, but obviously my passion always came through. That's why all my sales ended in like, come to yoga with me, or let's go have tea and talk about balance and life. And yeah, I remember I was on a ship one day shipping a big, I think this was 1,000 tons from China to the US. I got on the ship, and the captain, I mean, this is a huge freight ship, and the
Yeah.
captain invites me up to the top to kind of see from the top what's going on. And all of a sudden he's ballasting the ship, like taking water out so it'll, when you're taking off the cargo and you put it on this side. And that was a 4-hour conversation about balance in life. And he ended up being my yoga student, and it was like, so I think underlyingly, it's these transformations of being able to guide people to their heart, like where, and to live from their heart. And so running a business, is it has a bad connotation, like, oh, it's a yoga business. It's actually the transformations that come along with that are just out of this world. So
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's kind of what motivates me
I
in
guess
my solopreneur journey.
and I guess you're all probably building a deeper relationship with your customers as well. Again, you're taking them on a journey, really. I'm sure you do get people who just show up for one class or whatever, never to be seen again, but you can take people on a journey. A similar idea with you guys, Jocelyn, Natasha?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Jocelyn, you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh.
I think that what would really mark that I think is sort of the benefit of what I do is watching people as the changes start to happen in their bodies, right? So I work a lot with people that have suffered some type of trauma in their life. So whether it be a physiological, psychological, neurological, I mean, they come in and I'm not there to ask them their story, but I just watch in the way that their body presents and the way that they carry themselves and what they're carrying with them, and then we start to work together. And after a period of time, you start to see things like they start to open up, they start to trust, they start to have a little bit more spring in their step. And that is the reward. The reward is seeing how they become lighter. They carry less. And through movements. I'm not there to offer. It's a different type of therapy, right? It's movement therapy. It's not, I'm not working with the brain or trying to get into the past or learn any about that stuff. But I am working with them through movement and just bringing lightness in their step.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Natasha, yourself as well?
Yes, very similar to Peter and Jocelyn. 100%. It's about the transformation. I think you've got to, the type of people that run their own business in this space are people who care and feel deeply about life and other people. You just can't do this job if you don't, because it's so, you're very invested in your clients and your people. So for me, that's definitely the most fulfilling thing, and it motivates me because I love witnessing that journey in someone and seeing them unfold. And from a personal perspective of actually running a business, I love the freedom it gives me. If I wanted to, burn my back in a corporate job from 7 to 6, Monday to Friday, that's what I go and do. But I don't want to do that. I love living life on my own terms. And it also means I can have like a really fulfilling, enriched life, because I just simply can't get these connections that I have with this from something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love it from that.
This isn't a trick question as well, everybody, but I'd love to get your input. But, do you, as yoga, Pilates, wellness experts and coaches, have great work-life balance yourself? I mean, obviously it sounds like you're all very, very fulfilled, but are you able to switch off? Does it feel like work? Does it, are you able to achieve that work-life balance with working weekends, evenings, stuff like that?
Yeah, I guess everybody's probably going to be quite different. Don't get me wrong. There's been times where, for 2 or 3 years, I was working 6 to 7 days a week. And at one point, 40 to 50 sessions a week, which is not normal in this space. But now I do have a really good work-life balance. I have a limit to how many one-to-ones I do a week and how many group classes. But in the beginning, I want to learn as quickly as I can. I want to work with as many people as possible to build my skills. And there's definitely times where I'm going to be working more than others. And sometimes you've got to take things. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to take stuff when they come up, because you don't know when it's going to come again. So you've always got to be prepared. But on balance now, I've got a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
But it's always going to come in seasons.
Yeah,
As you know, as you all know, it's all whenever you're learning new courses, which we all do in this space. You know, you're maybe doing a launch online, or you're doing a launch of a group class, a retreat, a studio, whatever. Those periods are always going to be more busy.
Mm-hmm.
I think this probably also feeds into my next question, actually, which I'm sorry to bring up this word, but pandemic. You know, how has it affected your business? You know, I hate to use the word opportunity, but has it given you opportunities in terms of your business? I doing more online? How have you adapted? Like, how did you feel with this? Has it given you a rest? Has it made you busier? I'm just really interested to know what your pandemic experience was like, but also where you're coming out the other end in terms of where your business is at as well.
I can share.
Please do.
Throughout the pandemic, it just gave me an opportunity to share my practice online, which I was doing on Facebook Live at 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would just invite people into my home, basically, you know, for those who were curious. And it just grew. Like, I didn't know that people, like, some of my videos have like 4,000 views. And I was just like, how is this happening? You know, like
Yeah.
so many. And then, you know, they would ask me for more and for more and for more. And that's really when I said, okay, let's make this more structured and let's add more. This is why this sub kit is so good, is because now those people come and they, you know, and they want more and more, and they can't come to a physical class.
Yeah.
And I'm always traveling back and forth to San Francisco and here anyway. So it's so good that I can do, you know, virtual yoga anywhere really. And also with the coaching and, um, you know, we're trying to get into some like virtual retreats as well. If the pandemic doesn't allow us to travel, because a lot of our retreats have gotten canceled, you know, so this is
Yeah.
another thing. But just to be able to, you know, um, get into a group and group together online has been so not only transformational for us, but very healing, very healing.
You know, I've heard that quite a lot of people are looking already at a hybrid model as you know, like going forward. A lot of people do, you know, who do online activities or meetups in real life or sessions or the likes. They are trying to now blur this new reality of where we're at and try and at least, you know, make, because obviously the consumer may have different perspectives of what they want as well. And you know, I think we're all being affected, and we may not see it completely right now, but things are changing, you know, like technological changes, rapidly improving software changes and these sorts of things. So if it's my personal experience, I like online, but I also do miss in real life as well. I think, you know, my dream is to kind of have this hybrid. So as I can go to real life stuff, but also be able to kind of, you know, be part of an online yoga community or any other community that obviously appeals. How about yourself, Jocelyn? Have you had to make major changes to your business, or has it been, you know?
I mean, the pandemic hit my business pretty hard in a way that I have a boutique studio, so I don't
Yeah.
cater to large groups. I'm not comfortable with catering to large groups. And I had to be a little bit more out there and a little bit more visible. And it took me a little while actually to jump on board with the virtual.
Yeah.
And my experience wasn't one that, you know, I really see what was happening, because we fine tune everything, right? We watch the body, we make tiny little adjustments. We're always like eyes on the person. And in a Zoom format or a virtual format, we couldn't really do that. So it just became sort of teaching to the masses and whoever. So I didn't even promote that I was teaching classes. I was just doing that for my clients that come to the studio, but I didn't use my social media platforms to boost that, because I just couldn't get around the fact that I couldn't watch bodies closely and make those fine tunes or those small adjustments. So but I did do it. I mean, I had, you know, we survived the pandemic and we're on the tail end of it, at least hopefully now. So but
Let's hope.
I am happy to be in person again. However, there are some people that are not ready and they want to stay virtual. So there is that aspect of keeping the two different modalities going forward, because some people just really enjoyed staying home and not having to leave. Or, for us here in Canada, we get some pretty nasty winters. So
Yeah.
That can be an asset going forward, that if there's a snowstorm and people just can't get out, then we could just switch the class to virtual. So it has some potential opportunities for sure to keep working together instead of canceling classes. We could say, no, we'll be on Zoom instead. But yeah, for a small business with just different parameters, different outlook on how we can serve our people. But we did it.
I think we all did. And it's funny as well how different businesses have taken it. I used to go to Breathworks classes here in Manchester, UK, which is where I'm based. And that was always great, but obviously you would have to physically go and travel. I think that's translated quite well in terms of that. It's a similar situation. Craig, the guy who teaches the Breathworks that I go to, he's very good. He wants to watch you and see how you're coping and everything like that. But that's translated quite well. The same with yoga as well. But yeah, I think some things just don't translate. But how about yourself, Natasha, as well? Like, have you felt like obviously you've come out the other end of it now and your business is thriving post-pandemic, or are you still working out which business model you're going to be running?
So before this, I was working in studios and then going to people's houses for one-on-one. But my long-term vision had always been to be 100% online, because I love being able to travel and reach people that I wouldn't normally be able to meet in person. So it was a really, really good year for me last year from a business perspective. Everybody came online with me. I put the body bar method out there, which I've been doing workshops of it before the pandemic. So I've been doing like little classes, little 2-hour things, but it wasn't called that at the time. And then it forced me to put it online. So that was really, really great from that perspective. And also I think it's made people see that they can train online and that it can work. I agree that reformer Pilates, things like that really need your attention in person, you're never going to quite get the best with someone online with that, especially if it's reformer. They need a machine, etc. But some people do actually have them in their homes. You can set a camera up and you can do really, really well. You can do really, really well. But I teach more of the body and the mind stuff, so it does translate very well online. Excited moving forwards to continue this, to grow this into a really big online studio, and then host in-person events periodically throughout the year, and then just continue my one-to-one clients online as well.
Well, I think, parking the, obviously, sorry, Jocelyn, you got something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing that I thought was great about the pandemic was that we could start to take classes from people around the world, right? So that being said, I got to, somebody that I follow in Singapore, I got to, check in and try her classes. I had to, wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do it, but, and then people in New York, people in LA, like I could just pop into their classes. And that was really great in the UK as well. So I got to take people's classes that I normally would not have gotten the opportunity to do unless I was actually traveling to that place. So that opened up that possibility for us to meet each other. Right.
Agreed.
That was great.
These things come out of it. I mean, Monica, who is a friend of mine, she's actually an Indian chef. She teaches, she primarily did Indian supper clubs and Indian cookery classes. She moved fully online, obviously, with the pandemic. I'd been thinking about it for a couple of years, but actually this was the, movement to say, let's actually get on with this damn thing and make it online. And it was incredible. She says she has people from the US dialing in. She has people from Iceland, other parts of Europe. She could have never touched these people in the past, these customers, these community members now. But because, she's a first generation immigrant from Indian stock, obviously, originally, all of the flavors and the recipes are so authentic, and people are willing to dial in, and it's incredible. It's really grown her business. So yeah, parking the obviously horrific problems with the pandemic and everything that's coming, it has, I think, given us all this almost dynamism to actually really think about our businesses more, think about what's needed. And even from a consumer point of view, like I said, it's what's their expectations, what's acceptable now, what's going to be the hybrid, and what's coming forward. So, I'm really interested to seeing what's going to come out the next 6 to 12 months out of this as well, and just how people are living their lives as well. Well, that's part one finished, guys, which I'm excited to say. So sounds like you're all running amazing businesses. You found your calling, and I'm so happy about that. Now, just for everybody out there, we move on to potentially some of your tips on how to grow your business. Like how have you taken it from where it started to where it is now? So, you guys all have great social presences, you have websites, you offer a range of services and products. Now, maybe this is slightly muddied because of the last question I asked regarding the pandemic, but in the past, when you've decided to launch something new, whether that's a new class, whether that's a new feature, whether it's a new package, have you just gone ahead and done it and just thought, do you know what, I'm going to just go for this and I hope people are going to like it? Or do you do your research? Do you do a lot of, try and find out what's out there with competition? Do you survey your current mailing list or customer base? I'm just really interested to know, like, if you wanted to launch something new, what would you go, how would you go about that? How have you started doing that in the past? But you're not allowed to use the pandemic word. That's my caveat in there as well. So,
I was just thinking about this earlier before ahead of today. I have I've made a lot of mistakes with launching things in the past, and I've wasted a lot of money on different retreats and workshops and stuff that just haven't gone well or to plan. And that was because I didn't do enough research and I didn't ask my community what it is that they really wanted. So now moving forwards, personally, I don't launch something if it's not what my audience wants. So I just ask them. I just ask people, what are you struggling with? I give them different options of things, because there's obviously no point in me trying to offer something that I'm not good at and that doesn't align with me. So first of all, it starts with, what do I love delivering? What am I good at? Where can I make the most change for the client or the group? And then I'll present that to them and say, hey, I'm thinking of delivering this workshop or this retreat. What do you think of this subject? And what do you think of this venue? Yeah. And if there's enough people, then I'll go for that. That's, when we're talking about retreats and workshops. And I use the same with a class idea or concept. And then I'm actually just exploring something at the moment for a group course as well. So I'm sending polls, I'm sending surveys and stuff, yeah. And also running through. So I follow someone called Amy Porterfield, who is really, really great, and I highly recommend her for other people that are thinking about getting into this space. She always says, don't create the course and then try and sell it. Sell the course and then make the course, if that makes sense. So do a run through of the idea, the concept, but don't make all the content for it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is maybe not necessarily fake it till you make it, because you guys are all massively experienced in what you do. But you're right, I love things like waiting lists and landing pages and, can you get enough, can you get your first 100 customers for that new course or whatever? Then you can work like hell and build it or whatever if you've got the demand for it as well. It's better than, like you said, we call it in engineering, like waterfall versus agile. You may as well, in an agile way, just do the small steps to get you there, as opposed to doing it all and then hoping that one person signs up. That's a really good way to do it. How about yourself?
Or
sorry, Natasha.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, or running. I mean, with a lot of us, we're going live with our content anyway. So I think you've just got to be prepared that it might not work, and that's okay. Of course. The worst, it's just like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Or maybe some people don't turn up, and that's all it ever is. It's just doing it anyway.
Yeah, and the best tip as well I can give is, like, if you're actually selling tickets for anything, you know, if you have an early bird thing, you can just say sold out anyway if people are booking onto something that's one-offs, because at least then it looks like it's busy, and then more people will book on to the other ones. There's that kind of FOMO element as well. So, that's just a small hack. Hopefully it's not too dodgy as well in marketing tactics as well.
I I can speak on that. I mean, I've been in marketing almost my whole life, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get where you're coming from. Um, it's actually quite different from my perspective. I think that, when I was first going to do my first retreat in India, like I said, I'm a very kind of intuitive, kind of listening to the omens and the messages. I'm very much like that because it's really proven in my life to work, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's like just my recipe. But like when I went to India with my first retreat in India, that's kind of how it was. I went and I said, this I have to do a retreat here. And I planned it and then, it sold out like in a day, right? So
Yeah.
it's these kinds of things that, obviously after everyone's gone to India with me, they're not going to want to go again. So that's when you start to, look at other places and you start to go scout. So my second or third one was in Bali,
Yeah.
and then that one was sold out too. And I think it's a little bit different when you have an intimate group, just like Jocelyn was talking about.
Yeah.
She was speaking to, the intimate kind of group setting where you have a following that's more, they really, really follow you, and they trust you. And I think building trust is my
Mm.
number one tip, is like being consistent, building trust with your, with your heart. For me, it's heart keys, like, people who follow their heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
yoga from
Yeah.
the heart. And so, yeah, they actually do trust you with, whatever you're going to do. And um, I think that's really what's calling me. But now, when I'm launching something new, for example, I just launched a coaching program called Bloom that I developed.
Yeah.
It's an 8 to 12 week program, and I did do some research on that field, but it's also I've been listening to the demands of my audience as well, because a lot of people for years have been asking for a coaching program. Do you coach? Do you guide on a more personal level? And I never really wanted to get into it because I didn't know enough about psychology and of the brain. And so now with my psychology and neuroscience degree that I'm pursuing on a
Yeah.
graduate level, I'm able to combine, the things that I'm learning. Which takes a lot of research, not on the business acumen level, but definitely on the psychological realm. You have
Yeah.
to research a lot and read a lot. And so understanding what people need and what's going to transform them to then include that into your programs, So I think that's where I do most of my research. But
Wow.
yeah.
Lots of deep thinking here, like in terms of putting something new to market as well. I love it. It's like, it's not just a case of sticking something out and hoping that it lands as well. How about yourself, Jocelyn? Have you had a similar experience as well when you've evolved your product over the years?
Yes, yes, yes. I did want to ask Peter something because you said something that's rang a bell in my ear. You said you're studying psychology and neuroscience. Is that what you're doing your
Yeah.
master's in now?
Yes, that is
Where? Where?
at Harvard Extension School.
Okay, because I'm doing my neuroscience master's at King's College in
Oh
London
my
right
gosh,
now. So that's
I was
why.
looking at King's College for mine.
Yeah,
They have a wonderful neuroscience program.
they do. They
They
do.
really
Yeah,
do. Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
Okay,
Oh my
Wow.
God,
that's
I love
that's
fantastic.
this.
amazing.
Thank you.
I
Yeah.
I
love
know.
that.
Because
Can I
Yay.
when
just
she
put,
said that, yeah.
if you go on neuroscience/Jonny, then you can use my affiliate link for 20% off for after this call. Let's promote this neuroscience degrees. It could be the most highbrow affiliate scheme anybody's ever launched as well. So
I
oh,
mean,
that's amazing. That's
it's
amazing.
it's
Yeah,
amazing, right, Jocelyn? I'm sure you're gonna talk on that. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so you had asked Johnny, the question was whether I had uh, basically invested in something that didn't work or if I.
Yeah, and like I said before we went on air, it's like, feel free
Okay.
to, this is a warts and all show. Feel free to be able to explain
Yeah.
if it didn't work out even. I'm just interested to know how
Oh,
you launched something new.
yeah. No, I did. I did many mistakes as a business owner, right? I spent a lot of money. And the kind of like Natasha said at the beginning was, we try things, we build the cart before the horse, right? And
Yeah.
and then I'm going to do this and people will come. And that's not what happened. And I found that even in my virtual workshops, we do educational workshops online, and we put a lot of effort into them, and there's a lot of preparation coming up to the workshop, because we build everything from scratch, obviously. And then sometimes you've got like 6 people signed up, and you start a little bit panicked, that all the work that you put in is, but people sign up at the last minute. And that
Yeah.
is what I have found over time. Don't panic. They will come, but they will come at the last minute, like even sometimes the morning of, people email, is it too late? Can I still sign up? And you're, of course you can still sign up. It's virtual. I don't have to make room for you. It's a, so it works. But it's something that I found is, don't panic if you don't have any, keep promoting. And it's almost like when you put the fire under the seat and you're like, this is happening in 2 hours, and then you post that on social media and people are like, oh my God, it is FOMO. You're missing out,
It
and
is.
I wanna sign up. So that has worked okay. Um, but yeah, I do take time. I do take my time to launch new business. I'm a bit of a putterer when it comes to stuff. I'm a perfectionist, so I want to make sure that everything is, I've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. And I just I take my time before I do something new, so that can be maybe hold me back at times. But I'm also always well prepared.
Yeah,
So
brilliant.
yeah. Yeah.
Really good. Some really good advice there as well for anybody looking to launch or get through those early stages of their business to try out launching new products as well. Now, talking about marketing, seems on this subject right now, I think Instagram is obviously, we probably all agree, it's probably the #1 platform now for if we were, for a business in yoga, Pilates, wellness, so visible, so vibrant. It is a community as well. You guys all have very vibrant presences, I hope that's the right word to describe, on social media and Instagram. I'm just wondering, if you could, share maybe some of your best tips for Instagram growth. We're not superficial people here, so it's not just like, well, I cut 50 people a day for my following or whatever, but I'm just really interested in kind of like knowing, like what's really worked for you, what has helped you grow that following, which I guess obviously does translate into being a marketing tool at one point, like just interested in knowing some of your general tips that could be passed on to other entrepreneurs thinking about it as well.
Hi, I will go first on that one. I think that for me, it's been consistency. Consistency, that's what works on Instagram, is really being consistent, staying true to your brand, and just posting. You got to post often, right? So you got to be present, you got to be out there, and that's how it grows. And I haven't grown tremendously over the years. I've had my account for over 10 years, and it's not, some people have grown a lot more, but I have been consistent, and I've been, you can find me, which is something that as an introvert has been very difficult to come out of my shell and to actually be out there. So that took some time to find how I wanted to present myself to the world, because being a perfectionist and being an introvert was a bit of a struggle. But I eventually figured out my groove, and then I stayed with it. So I don't sway much from what I present. It's pretty consistent. So that's the advice I can give, at least for an introvert.
Yeah, echo exactly what Jocelyn said. Consistency and having a little bit of a strategy in terms of what you're going to post consistently. So is Monday going to be a post of a carousel where you swipe left and it's exercises or yoga poses or whatever? Is Tuesday going to be a reel? Is Wednesday going to be an IGTV live? Or are you just a picture person? And it's keeping with that theme, and also like using an app in terms of the visuals, so a different app other than Instagram to lay your pictures out before you post. one thing I've personally found that has worked really, really well, especially in the beginning days, not so much now, but it comes and goes, but getting on like a collaboration with other people. So whether that's an Instagram live with someone else or them posting you on their Instagram, that's a really great way to build it. So you probably want to aim to maybe have one a week, where you're going to be featured on somebody else's Instagram or YouTube or whatever.
I'm writing all these down, Natasha.
Yeah, I think that is a fantastic way. I'm still working on it as well, by the way.
It's true though.
I've had a very slow setup. I haven't grown massively, but I'm quite a niche. What I do is very, very niche. So yeah.
I'm not naming names here, and don't worry, it's nobody obviously here, but I was doing some research the other day and chatting with somebody, and I went into their Instagram and they had 6 followers, but they'd posted 75 times. And I was thinking the content's not bad. I'm thinking surely there'd be a point that kicked in after 30 posts or something, and you'd start thinking, why is my following not going up? How do I start doing some new growth tactics? But 6 followers was what it was. So maybe it's a ridiculously tight knit community, and they're happy with that as well.
There you go. I don't think there is a secret, but sorry. Yeah.
No. I will say this. I was on a private account. So I had mine on private for the longest time.
Yeah.
Right. Which doesn't really help you with your growth, growth. So once I took it off of private, I finally saw that more people were starting to know your content and to see you, and because I was doing so much, like posting all the time and doing all this. I'm like, why isn't anyone following me? What's going on? And it's like, no. And so one of my friends' sons actually caught that, and he's like, do you have a private account? I was just like, oh, I guess, well, people can't follow you or see you if you're private. You have to allow them to see you. So then I started doing that. I think I did that about a year and a half ago, and it's been very, very fruitful.
Yeah.
Like,
you're just like, please go back to my older posts. I posted a great thing a year ago. Yes. Please look at this.
But the cool thing is I saw someone the other day say something about this. She said, if you are struggling to find something to post and you have something in your backlog from, ages ago that you thought was really good, just reuse it. Maybe recycle the picture or reuse it, but reuse it because people need to know that. I mean, your wisdom needs to be known, and like you can just repost. So I've been kind of doing that lately when I don't have time.
Pure gold here as well, these tips as well. This is all great. And you know what? We do put together a blog as well after our podcast where we share some of the top tips. So I think we'll pull out quite a lot of these Instagram tips as well for our blog, which is great. Again, quick question which follows up from this. Obviously, you will use Instagram a lot, but do you still use any other marketing techniques to get them, like SEO, or are you doing, print ads or whatever? I'm just interested to know, like, maybe the mix that you try and put into there. Like, are there any other marketing methods that work for you guys?
I do a weekly email.
Yeah.
Which the email is amazing. I love emails. I think what if somebody's on your email list, they're serious about you. Yeah. And it's a great way to communicate with them authentically. Brilliant. Highly recommend email list.
Emails have still stood the test of time. I think you have that direct channel with your people. Like you said, what does it take? 5 seconds? Well, 1 second to unsubscribe. So like you said, it's a very pure way of knowing those people on your list hopefully are obviously enjoying your content. How about yourselves? Are you out there putting kind of billboards up or anything in your cities or whatever, or is it literally an Instagram play now and your blog or newsletters as well?
I would say word of mouth is one of the best ways, but also just networking, going to different events. The pandemic kind of had me, I was just delivering a lot, but now because we're able to get out more and stuff, I've been doing a lot of community wellness in the community, and that's how people really get to know what we do or what I do. And then also just meeting people around, like I'm new to Austin. I just moved here from San Francisco. So just getting to know my neighbors. And,
Mm.
Once you start saying what you do, I think a lot of us have been connecting. And that's why, I'm having my first class at my home um, on our deck this Friday, and we already have 4 people signed up, and I can only allow 6 people, right, because of COVID and because
Yeah.
it's not that big. So it's really nice, to know that people are interested in diving deeper into their, yoga path and journey. So yeah, I think just meeting people and getting your name out there and building those authentic connections is really important too, still in
Yeah.
person.
Brilliant. Anything to add, Jocelyn? Or
Sure. I think that collaborating with other small businesses in my area as well. So we'll bring in, there's a female-owned business that I've associated myself with. They do all organic um, beauty care, right? So, body lotions and arnica gels and stuff like that. So we brought in their products to the studio, and just for the basic collaborations where we support local.
yeah.
And then also we do events where currently right now on Monday evenings, I'm doing a virtual class where 100% of the proceeds go to Halton Women's Place, which is a women's shelter here in Halton region. And we're doing it till November. There's a big event that raises money for this shelter. And on Monday evenings, now I've added this class that's 100% of the proceeds go to that. So, instead of me profiting, I'm donating my time, and then the money goes back to help because during the pandemic, unfortunately, there's been a high rise of numbers of abuse, especially in the area. So this helps raise money to support the women that are in the shelter. So little things like that, right? That wherever I can collaborate and associate, it's an organic way of growing or creating visibility, but also getting people to be aware of what we do and how we do it.
Amazing.
But it's for a good cause. Yeah.
That all sounds great. And like you said, word of mouth and also playing part in your local community as well. It's so important as well. So, and like you said, collaborating with other brands as well is so good. Right, the final question before we go on to our famous rapid fire round. You'll be pleased to know. What would be, and you, again, it's up to you. This is a very, very, very open-ended question. For anybody thinking about taking the leap and starting their own business, what would be some short advice that you feel you could give to them? And again, please feel free to be honest as well.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Yeah, I think that's like very, very important.
I like that.
I would say follow your gut. Don't compromise who you are.
Very good.
Yeah, I would say make sure you're doing what feels aligned to you. So delivering the thing that brings you the most joy, because that's what others are going to feel if you're delivering a service. And even if it's not a service, it's a product, it's got to be something that you're super passionate about.
Yeah,
it's obvious, but
yeah, but it all takes us a while to get there. And I've interviewed people on this show from people who are early 20s all the way through to 60s, and people are still just finding that, and they've been on a hell of a journey to get to where they are right now, feeling happy, being a solo entrepreneur. So and
amazing. I don't know if we ever arrive at something which we go, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It changes, definitely, and especially if you are an entrepreneurial spirit, the nature of an entrepreneur is to create.
It is.
It's going to change. It's going to change. But doing what you feel aligned and passionate about at the time and as that grows.
Right. Well, you're going to love this next question because this is the start of our rapid fire. Oh, Jocelyn,
I'm going to add what she said.
I think we need to make some bumper stickers here or some slogan t-shirts or something, I think it's right. I think, the journey never stops or whatever. Let's see if we can brainstorm some kind of t-shirt slogan or something. We'll all split the profits on 25% each as well. So. Okay, cool. So that is a great segue into our final wrap up, which is basically our quick rapid fire round. So again, feel free to add a little bit of sugar on this, but let's try and kind of make sure we keep it on point. So this follows on from Natasha, which is maybe it's good to have you first answer, Natasha. So say I bumped into you in 4 or 5 years' time, hoping obviously you guys before that, but if I bumped into the street and said, how's the business going? Where would you like it to be at that point?
Yeah, I'd love the Body Bar Method to be a global brand. I would love to be teaching around the world on retreats and also making a positive impact in schools. I really want to teach children mindfulness and meditation, and hopefully have an area of the business where that is happening regularly, where we're actually getting people to go to schools and deliver workshops.
Yeah,
to children.
I've got 2 kids to send your way, so I'll sign them up later on if you put that on.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Jocelyn, how about yourself?
In 5 years, I want to have completed writing my book, and I want to have a online educational neuroscience of movement training, and I want to have been on a TED stage. Those are my goals.
Brilliant. And how about yourself, Peter?
Wow, that was like exactly some of the things I was
There's some
gonna
alignment
say.
here, I think. There's some
A
alignment
lot
on
of
this call
alignment.
between everybody.
Yeah, I really want to get involved with public health. I also want Yoga from the Heart to be really involved. Right now, we're really involved in the community, especially in San Francisco, but I want to be ingrained in that. And so a lot of that has to do with public health, with knowing the right people who will, of course, be able to deliver us. And I want to see a tech hybrid kind of combination also, where we bring certain technologies in and provide that to marginalized communities so that they always have access to their mindfulness. Because if we go to the children, that's amazing, but if their parents aren't on board, they're not going to be able to sustain it. So
Yeah.
a lot of my work is within the community, especially marginalized communities. That's where my heart lives. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, it's amazing that you've all got great plans ahead, and it's not you've got a lot to do to work on those as well, which is exciting. I've never asked anybody yet, and they go, "Well, I don't know." I'll think about that in a while. I think everybody, as you said before, as entrepreneurs, everybody has these dreams about where they're wanting to go. They're never staying still. They're always evolving as well. This is the next question, which you have one word to describe what it's actually like to run your own business. So choose wisely. Feel free to throw them out as well. I'm not going to go around the room.
Invigorating.
Thrilling. Thrilling.
Satisfying. Okay. That's 3 positives, that as well. I like that. That's really good.
Were we allowed to say something negative?
Oh, well, the word's hard.
Frustrating.
yeah. Maybe I should rephrase this for the next show as like you could say positive and negative as well. So at least I can say that hard work is, I think, classed as 2 words. So you're not allowed to say that anyway, which is hopefully given as well, but hopefully enjoyable work as well. As an entrepreneur, what does success ultimately mean to you?
Freedom.
Yeah, I would say.
We're still doing the one word.
Oh, you could use more than one word, but freedom sums it up quite well. So,
yeah, echoing Jocelyn, freedom and making an impact, a positive impact. I want my work to make a really positive impact and transform people's lives.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. Transformational.
Okay, brilliant. This sounds great. The final question I have for you guys today, which you'd be pleased to know, is just remind people where they can find you online. Where would you like to point people towards? So maybe we'll start with you, Natasha. Maybe website and Instagram.
Yeah, Natasha J. Wood is the website and the Instagram. So Instagram is Natasha_J Wood, but type the full word in, full words, and you'll find me on my website and Instagram.
Amazing. Jocelyn?
Thank you.
The website is the Cornerstone Pilates. That's the name of the studio in Burlington, Ontario. And the Instagram, we also have an Instagram for the Cornerstone Pilates, which is my business page. And then my brand page, which is solely Pilates exercises on machine or on the mat, is Jocelyn Pelchat Pilates.
Yeah, brilliant.
And okay, I am yoga _ from the heart on Instagram. So if you type in yoga from the heart, you'll get it. And then my website is heart-ga, almost like yoga, but heart first and then the ga.
Okay, amazing. And while you're here, is there anything finally you have to say to anybody out there based on any of the topics today? I feel like we've covered a lot. Is there anything anybody's got as final words? You know, this isn't my like Oprah moment or inside the actor studio or whatever they say, but is there anything you just feel you haven't been able to say today that you just want to share with other people who may be thinking about starting a business or people running in similar businesses to you in the industry?
Stay authentic.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay.
I think it's really, it's really important that when you are starting it, especially if you're going to be in this space, just to really to focus on what it is that you do best, and how you can serve that to your people. Because it's very easy to compare yourself and think, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And the moment you get into that mindset is the moment that you're not being authentic.
Yeah.
And I want to share one more thing is when one of the quotes that I often come back to is, don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. Because when we start something, we usually look at somebody else and look at what they have, look what they're doing, and then we start to compare. But we all start at the beginning. They started at the beginning as well. So we're supposed to start small and grow into something, and never give up. Never give up, because the more consistent you are, the more you work at something, the more it will develop and it will happen. So don't stop before the miracle happens, right?
Wow. Amazing. I've just got to say our content team is going to be spending a lot of time pulling out all the gems as well from today's recording. So that just leaves me to say thanks to all of you, Peter, Jocelyn, Natasha. It's been such an enjoyable chat. You know, I hope you all, stay in contact, friends for life. And, I'm really excited to see how the business kind of grows from here, and until next time, keep winning. So we'll speak to you soon and look after yourself. Good luck.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
grateful.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks, Jonny. Thanks, Jocelyn.